napapansin na nila.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, young and old and new, long or not, but still looks good. I just had hot dog this morning and still got a hang of it. Has Dirty Mind worked? Aha! Welcome to a live broadcast of Dramarama Curvy on Air.
Kulay na pabarkada sa mga bay, curious na baba.
We thank you for sparing us your time to listen on our story, and we assure you that you will be inspired at the end of this drama that we prepared entitled The Witch by Adalberto K. Champo. So, let's begin. Once upon a time, in the far-flung barangay about 9 kilometers away from the town, there was a 12-year-old young boy who used to go to Libas to visit his favorite uncle, Tio Sabilo. He likes to go there for there are many things he could eat at his uncle's house. Cane sugar syrup, candied meat of a young coconut, corn and rice cakes, ripe jackfruit, guavas from trees growing wild on a hill not far from his Tio Isabelo's house. It was through his visits that he heard many strange stories about Mingay Awok. Mingay was known as a witch even beyond Libas. Mingay lived in a small, low hut at the back of the creek separating the barrios of Libas and Sinitan. The hut leaned dangerously to the side where the creek water ate away large chunks of earth during the rainy season. It had two small openings, a small door through which Mingay probably had to stoop to pass, and a window about 2 feet square facing the creek. Nobody seemed to know for sure what she had in the hut, but one daring fellow boasted of having gone inside it and revealed everything. He had seen dirty stoppered bottles hanging from the bamboo slats of the Kogon thatch. These bottles contained the paraphernalia of her witchcraft. 2 or 3 small bottles she always had with her, hanging on her waistband with a bunch of iron keys wherever she went or even when she slept. It was said that those who had done her wrong never escaped her vengeance. Using an incantation only to her, Mingay would take out one insect from a bottle, soak it in colored liquid or roll it in a powder, and with a curse let it go to the body of her victim. Thus, Mingay was feared in Libas and the surrounding barrios. There had been attempts to murder her. One of the men who attempted to believe Mingay was the cause of the rush, as his only child had been carrying for over a year, when Mingay asked his wife to hold their child. And when she gave the child back, she said, "He has a very smooth skin." After that, the boy had skin eruptions all over his body. A few charcoal-colored chicks and a thin, infertile sow were Mingay's sole company. The neighbors did not chase the sow or the chickens away because they were scared of stirring up Mingay's wrath. Even if the sow dug up sweet potatoes and the chicks pecked rice or corn grain drying in the sun. Mingay had a sow, chickens, wakwak, and sigbin. The sigbin resembled a kangaroo with shorter forelegs and fan-like ears that flapped when it walked. A black rose-sized wakwak was nocturnal. It howled when a neighbor died. The bird was thought to be Mingay's messenger, and the sigbin carried her to the grave, where the witch feasted on her corpse. He wondered if her lean sow and black hens transformed themselves into fantastic creatures at night, as he passed by the hut. Even in the daytime, he feared seeing her. She might approach him on the road outside her hut and remark something about his face, leaving him with a hare lip, sunken nose, or crossed eyes for life. Mingay was never in her residence or nearby. He assumed she was a myth to scare kids. He often observed her sow digging banana roots or wallowing beside the trail, and her black chickens scratching for worms or picking grains in her yard, and the witch became quite real. He was told to go to Libas with a bottle of medicine for Tio Isabelo's sick wife. He started from the town at 5:30, and by the time he saw the balete tree across the creek from Mingay's hut, he could hardly see the trail before him. The balete was called Mingay's tree, for she was known to sit on one of the numerous twisting vines that formed a grotesque trunk to wait for a belated passerby. The balete was a towering monstrous shadow. A firefly that flitted among the vines was an evil eye, plucked out searching for its socket. He wanted to run back, but the medicine had to get to Tio Isabelo's wife that night. He wanted to push through the thick underbush to the dry part of the creek to avoid the balete, but he was afraid of snakes. He had discarded the idea of a coconut front torch because the light would catch the attention. After the terror of the balete and the hut of the witch had lessened, he always has the goose flesh whenever he passed by them after dusk. One moonlight night, going home to the town, he heard a splashing of the water below Mingay's house. He thought the sound was made by the witch, but it was a huge animal. He was about to run thinking it was the sigbin of the witch, but when he looked at it again, it was a carabao wallowing in the creek. One morning, he thought of bringing home shrimp to his mother, so he went to the creek bringing his cousin's panak. After 2 hours of wading in the creek with only 3 small shrimps dangling on his belt, he comes across an old woman taking a bath in the shade of a catman tree. Near the left side of the woman is the foot-wide ledge of unbroken boulder, where she had put the wooden basin of wet but still unwashed clothes. The woman saw him with 3 small shrimps and said,
"You have a poor catch."
in his mind he said,
She looked kind. She was probably as old as my grandmother. She seemed to have tasted many better years because of her mouth, which is just a thin line above her chin.
Why don't you make them out of their hiding? Take some of this.
She gave him shredded coconut meat and the go-go suds used on her hair.
Beyond the first bed, the water is still. Smother the shreds there. That's where I get my shrimp. You will see some drops. If you find shrimps in them, they are yours.
He just mumbled his thanks and scattered the coconut shreds to the bench she indicated. And in a short time, the shrimps with hairy, with age, some heavy with eggs, molters, dark magus, leaf green shrimps, and speckled crawled from bowls under the bamboo.
No. Your mother will need them. You don't have enough. Besides, I have freshwater crabs at home.
He saw 3 traps of woven bamboo strips and 2 hidden behind a catman root. However, he did not disturb them because he had enough shrimp for himself.
Do you still have a mother?
Yes, I had a grandmother too.
You are not from Libas, I think. This is the first time I have seen you.
I was from the town, and I came here to visit my uncle, who was the head teacher of the Baspario school.
You remind me of my son when he was your age. He had a bright eyes like you, and his voice was soft like yours. I think you are a good boy.
Where is your son now?
I have not heard from him since he left. He went away when he was 17. He left in anger because I didn't want him to marry so young. I don't know where he went, where he is.
She spread the length of a kimono on the water of the last rinsing. The flesh hanging from her skinny arms was loose and flabby.
If he's still living, he'll be as old as your father maybe. Many times I feel in my bones he is alive and will come back before I die.
Is your husband still living?
He died a long time ago when my boy was 11.
She twisted the kimono like a rope to wring out the water.
I'm glad he died early. He was very cruel.
The boy looked at her, at the thin mouth, wondering about her husband's cruelty, disturbed by the manner she spoke about.
Do you still have other children?
I wish I had. Then I wouldn't be living alone.
A woman her age, he thought, should be a grandmother and living among many children. She did not speak, but her strange young eyes were probing and looked grotesque on the old woman's face.
Not far from here, the house on the high bank across the Bolete.
She must have seen the fright that suddenly leaped into his face, for he thought she smiled at him queerly.
I'm going now.
He felt her following him with her eyes. Indeed, they seemed to bore a hot hole between his shoulder blades. He did not look back. Don't run, he told himself. But at the first bend of the creek, when he knew she couldn't see him, he ran. After a while he stopped, feeling a little foolish. Such a helpless-looking little old woman couldn't be Mingay. Couldn't be the witch. He remembered her kind voice and the wood fragrance. She could be his own grandmother, he thought. As he walked, the string of shrimp kept brushing against the side of his leg. He detached it from his belt and looked at the shrimps. Except for the 3 small ones, all of them belonged to the old woman. Her coconut shreds had coaxed them as a magic out of their hiding. The protruding eyes of the biggest witch was still alive, seemed to glare at him, and then they became the eyes of the witch. Angrily, the boy hurled the shrimps back into the creek.
This concludes today's narrative. There are numerous lessons to be learned from this tale, which, in my opinion, is comparable to our culture, in which most people judge others based on their socio-economic status, way of life, and clothing choices. And as a result, we understand that it is incorrect because beyond what our eyes can see, we are unaware of their background and history. In order to better understand others, let's refrain from passing judgment on them and learn more about their past. Again, this is your DJ for today, Curvy on Air.
Curious na babae na ang hanap din ay babae. Sa halip na makeup kit, bit-bit ko ay gitara. Tapos pormahan ko lagi ay long sleeves na t-shirt at faded na lonta.